Ms. Aguiar-Curry is recognized for her procedural motions.
Mr. Speaker, there is a letter of legislative intent at the desk relative AB 2927. I move to print the letters in the journal pursuant to Assembly Rule 42C.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Please move items 71 and 72 to the inactive file.
Clerk will note. Moving to item 67. You cannot, that is out of order. The bills are the property of the House. There is no vote. It is the House. She made a statement. That is out of order. Bills are the property of the House. We do not vote. It's not debatable. It's not debatable, Mr. Asali. It's not debatable. You can't. You're out of order. We are moving to file item 65, SB 961. Senator Wiener by Mr. Lowenthal. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 961 by Senator Wiener and others, enacted into vehicles.
Mr. Lowenthal, you are recognized. Mr. Asali, you are out of order. This has been ruled that you are out of order. You do not have a motion, Mr. Asali. You are out of order. You have a point of order, or you have a motion. What is your point of order? Not during resolutions. We're not under resolutions.
Rule 109, when a member desires to make a motion, the motion shall obtain recognition as provided in Rule 108. That's my point of order.
We're on item 65. We're under motions and resolutions. Your point is not well taken, Mr. Asali. Your point is not well taken. Moving on, final item 65. Mr. Lowenthal, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise at 960 off of Senator Wiener. Folks, we are in a traffic safety crisis. Over 4,000 Californians die every year in traffic collisions on our roadways, a dramatic increase from pre-pandemic levels. Speeding is a major factor in 1/3 of these fatalities. SB 961 mandates a common sense speed warning technology that effectively reduces speeding. Specifically, SB 961 requires passenger vehicles, trucks, and buses manufactured or sold in California to be equipped with passive intelligent speed assistance systems, or ISA, that through a brief and one-time audio and visual signal warn the driver when they go more than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. To reiterate, passive ISA is an existing advisory-only technology. It does not physically limit vehicle speed in any way. The SB 961 requirement does not apply to motorcycles, emergency vehicles, or to vehicles that are not equipped with either a front-facing camera or GPS system. The European Union already requires passive ISA on new vehicles. Toyota, the second largest US auto manufacturer, has told the National Transportation Safety Board it will install similar technology as standard in all new models starting later this year. The NTSB strongly recommends passive ISA and testified as a lead witness in support in the Senate Transportation Committee. AAA, the National Safety Council, the National Association of City Transportation Officials, and the American Academy of Pediatrics all support this bill. In addition to being increasingly implemented by manufacturers, drivers broadly support passive ISA. A recent study by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety found that a whopping 80% of drivers would accept a passive ISA warning system with a 10 mile per hour threshold, the same threshold as this bill. Now, the opposition claims that the federal government is taking action on passive ISA, and therefore action by California is unnecessary. However, no federal rulemaking action for passive ISA on passenger vehicles has been taken, let alone opened. This is why this week, the NTSB chair, Jennifer Homendy, wrote the following in a letter supporting the passive ISA requirement in SB 961, quote, "Though we have asked NHTSA to implement the technology, NHTSA has refused to act on our recommendations. No anticipated action is forthcoming, despite NHTSA recently including ISA on its list of countermeasures that work. Colleagues, it is past time for us to require this common sense feature in vehicles and work to address our traffic safety crisis."
Thank you, Mr. Lowenthal. Mr. Lackey, you are recognized.
Listen, members, I honor the attempt to try to address speeding because it is a major cause of a lot of needless injury and death. But I would tell you that the experts on this issue is NHTSA. They're the National Traffic Highway Safety Administration. They have not concluded that this has any meaningful process, and they are in the process of evaluating this. But before you take drastic measures, it should be well thought out by the experts. I would submit to you that the people that are drafting this they're busy driving a desk and they're not driving a car. Because I could tell you from my experience of dealing people with traffic, it's a very complicated challenge to try to get people to comply with speed laws. All you're going to hear now is you're going to hear a beep and a flash, and it's going to be a distraction. It's not going to change behavior. People are going to become annoyed and irritated, and they're not going to change their behavior. It's very hard to change people's driving habits. Take it from one who's watched and spent 28 years monitoring this. This is a noble attempt, and I give the author credit for trying to address traffic safety. It also encroaches a little bit on privacy. There's privacy concerns as well. And it's a dangerous move, and I think it'll be ineffective, and so therefore I don't think it deserves any support, and I urge you to vote no.
Thank you, Mr. Lackey. Assemblymember Joe Patterson, you are recognized.
Great, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I recently learned that one of the cities in my district has higher propensity of fatalities than a lot of other cities. And so it's concerning to me and something that needs to be addressed. I have two concerns with this bill. One of them is that, and I know some of these discussions have come up, but California's system of creating speed limits in the first place entails the drivers themselves. And the purpose of that is so when you're driving down a road, you can't be, basically entrapment. You can't be pulled over for driving the speed that everybody else is driving. And so there's a very calculated way to create speed limits in California, and maybe that needs to be looked at. I know that there have been efforts about that over the years. So this will change that dynamic. This will have an impact on that. We also need I do have confidence that this technology can exist. We're not there yet. I don't know if we'll be there by 2030. Me just driving using the various apps, the speed limits right now are always wrong because they're changing because of the process that I just talked about. And they have to be updated every 5 years. But the other thing is, which is actually just more concerning to me, is that I already have things screaming in my car at every given moment when I have my children in there. And the last thing I need is my car beeping at me, because I guarantee you, look, I don't want to get anybody convicted here, but y'all drive over 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. I guarantee it. So you're all going to get beeped all the time, and that's fine. But it is an additional thing that we're really going to have to cope with as a society. And I don't know if we're going to really be there in 6 years to figure all that out. And my kids, between my kids screaming at me and this thing buzzing at me, I'm just going to go crazier than I am already. With that, I ask for a no vote.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Moving to Mr. Lee, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of SB 961. California must lead where the federal government has failed to protect our constituents from traffic violence. While it would be great for federal regulators to take action on passive ISA, the simple truth is that the NHTSA is very far away from doing so. Federal regulators have spent close to a decade formally contemplating a speed limiter rule for trucks and have yet to issue a final rule. And they haven't even begun a formal rulemaking process for passive ISA. They thus could be over a decade away from a federal rule for cars if they even elect to pursue one or finalize one, with tens of thousands of people dying in the meantime. For these reasons, the National Transportation Safety Board has generally viewed NHTSA's response to its earlier ISA recommendations unacceptable. Additionally, assembly amendments to the bill make it technology neutral and do not require vehicle tracking or image sharing technology to be installed in any vehicle. The bill exempts vehicles that aren't already equipped with such technology from the requirement, addressing both cost and privacy concerns. It is high time we do everything we can to save lives from traffic violence. The auto industry has opposed numerous other safety regulations in the past, like airbags, that today count as standard safety measures across the board. We should not listen to similar frivolous arguments against a proven safety feature, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote, colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Mathis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I know the hour is getting late. There's so many things with this. It's one, I'm sitting here and I'm going, I got a son that just turned 15 and he's already on me about buying a car. And I'm like, how much are these new cars going to cost me if they have this? What's that going to do to the increase of cost there? I think there were some really good points already brought up about distractive driving. The points that we already have a lot of things beeping at us. The idea of the 10 miles an hour and over, you know, a lot of you all live in metropolitan areas, but for some of us, we live out in the country and you got to get around some tractors that are hauling some stuff. And you're going to go a lot faster than 10 miles over to get around that quickly and safely. So as we talk about these things, we're not talking about the cost. We're not talking about what that's going to look like overall into the future. And I think the concerns of now, I mean, a lot of us are already going to have our GPSs beeping at us, telling us, hey, you're going over. Because how many of y'all have that? Don't lie. Yeah, I see the head nods. Let's be real here. So now your car's going to be flashing something. So now you're going to be like, well, did I get a flat tire? What it was the acronym on my dashboard mean? Let's be real. And so it just adds one more thing for us to worry about. It's going to be another question on a DMV test. When was the last time you all had to re-up your DMV test? I just had to do mine. 10 years here gets you old. Are you ready for that question? What does this light mean? Why is it flashing at me? You know, there's another aspect here too, and it reminds me of one of the questions. And it always comes down to, if you're in a certain situation and you're moving with traffic, what speed should you be going? And the answer is with the flow of traffic. And that is how the speed is determined. Are you moving with the flow of traffic? Not are you 10 miles an hour over, not are you 15 over, but are you moving safely with the speed of traffic? And this bill does not cover those concerns. Oh, I see we have a peanut gallery in the back. Shh. It's okay. It's your time. See what I mean? Distracted driving, distracted speaking. We got to be cognizant of these things, members. I think this bill's after something that's important. I think it's good. I think it's, You know, we got a lot of technology going on. We've passed a lot of legislation dealing with technology, dealing with AI, dealing with where we're going in the future with technology and what our partnership is interacting with that technology. But I think right now for something like this on clocking your speed in your car, I think we already got enough things going on there. So on this one, members, I ask you, maybe let's slow it down. Maybe let's stick with the speed of traffic with things and lay off this one a little bit until we can kind of get some of these other details worked out. I ask you for a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
Yes, thank you, members. I rise in opposition to SB 961, a bill that highlights to me just how out of touch we have gotten here in this state. This bill would force all new cars and trucks to include a system that essentially nags drivers with alerts if they go more than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. It sounds simple, but it's another attempt by Sacramento to control our lives and our choices. Let me be clear. This is just another step towards making California a nanny state. And there are times, you know, when people go over the speed limit, there may be actually emergencies and things like that that occur where people need to maybe go over that speed limit. And who in this room has not gone over the speed limit at some time? It's not that we should be doing that, but nobody here can sit here and say that they were perfect. They've always been exactly under the speed limit. And now we're going to have a government-approved mechanism on our cars to make sure that we don't go any faster. I mean, that's the definition of a nanny state. And I don't think that's what we need. We need people to follow the law. We need people to be safe. And we have enforcement mechanisms in our highway patrol who actually, I think, do a very fine job. So what we're really telling the people of California is that they cannot be trusted to make their own decisions. That they need to be babysat by government approved GPS devices to make sure they don't drive too fast. It's insulting. And it's why California is turning into a punchline for the rest of the nation. You can do fentanyl in public with no consequences, but parking garages and amusement parks need warning labels. You know, you can set up a homeless encampment and dump trash everywhere, destroy whole city parks, but if you build a development that could give those people homes, you get a CEQA lawsuit. It makes no sense. You know, there's lawlessness for some, and then for all the people who are law-abiding citizens, it's more regulations, it's more laws, it's more restrictions. You can understand. Rather than fixing the issue, we're doubling down on the message that Californians can't be trusted to live their own lives. The last thing Californians need is another government mandate that drives up the costs and puts obstacles in the way of their everyday life. Let's be real. This bill is about control. It's not about safety. It's about control. It's about government that clearly doesn't trust its people. And I urge you to stand up and vote no on this terrible bill. And let's instead stand up for the rights of Californians to make their own choices without the constant interference of government that thinks they know better.
Mr. Hoover, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to SB 961. You know, I think it's an interesting observation, you know, as was presented by my colleague from Long Beach in presenting this bill. This is being presented as a public safety measure. It is presented as something that is going to make our roads safer. But if you look at the list of supporters listed on the bill, there's not a single law enforcement association that supports this legislation. In fact, up until recent amendments, there actually was law enforcement opposition that has now gone neutral. But I think that you know, the groups that really think would make our roads the most safe do not support this legislation. My colleague and my seatmate also brought up some really important points about our affordability crisis in California. New car prices in our state are up 20% since 2020. And this is yet another mandate that is going to continue to increase the cost of our cars, continue to increase the cost for consumers. And I think it should be rejected for that reason alone. And then finally, I also think it's really interesting that in this body, we talk about making our roads safer. I believe very strongly that if we really, really care about making our roads safer, we need to continue to encourage the continued development of autonomous vehicle technology. We currently have 250,000 car crashes in our state per year. Those are the result of human error. And I think it is really important that this legislature continue to stay focused on ensuring that technology that will truly make our roads safer can continue to develop and improve. Respectfully ask for a no vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, would you like to close, Mr. Lowenthal?
Yes, very briefly. I'd like to thank my colleagues from the other side of the aisle, and I would like to comment on a few of the things that were mentioned in debate. Colleague from Rockland very appropriately noted that there are too many apps operating while we drive, and that should be a reason why we should be notified if we are distracted while we're driving. My colleague from Palmdale, I have deep respect and admiration when it comes to all things on the road, but generalized and said that people will ignore this warning sign. I will not ignore this warning sign. As a matter of fact, I appreciate those warning signs as they come up. When you think of your gas gauge in your car tells you when your car is full of gas or empty of gas, but we all appreciate the light that comes on that warns us that we need to stop what we're doing, think about where we are as it relates to filling up our gas tanks. The cost for vehicles to implement this technology, but failed to recognize the cost all of us bear in insurance and otherwise, much less the horrific emotional cost associated with not doing this. And for all of these reasons, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Lowenthal. And with that, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll and tally the vote size. 42 noes, 12. Measure passes. Moving to file item 67, SB 1223, Senator Becker by Assemblymember Bauer Cahan. The clerk will read.
The Senate Bill 1223 by Senator Becker, enacted to privacy.
Assemblymember Bauer Cahan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present SB 1223, the California Neuro Rights Act, on behalf of Senator Becker. This important change will protect your brain information from privacy violations. Currently, devices are being made that will read your brain waves, and we want to make sure that's protected under California CCPA. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer Cahan. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes. 56, no, 0. Measure passes. We're passing temporarily on item 75. Moving to file item 80, SB 976. Senator Skinner by Assemblymember Bauer Cahan. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 976 by Senator Skinner and others, enacted to youth addiction.
Assemblymember Bauer Cahan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present SB 976 on behalf of Senator Skinner. This is an incredibly important bill sponsored by the Attorney General that ensures that our youth are not being fed addictive content online. It does so by focusing not on the content itself because of Section 230, which many of you have heard me rant about, but instead by making sure platforms are safer, by requiring social media companies to have default.
All right, fam, I'm gonna pause it real quick. Actually, I headed up to the Capitol. Did some media stuff, and then came back. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. Here, let me see. I'm gonna play this video real quick, just to let you know that we do have people, boots on the ground right now. Hold on, let me check my audio. See if I'm good.
Navan's business travel
All
platform.
right, no, that's crazy. Sorry, give me a second, fam. Sorry. Let's see.
Percent APY on.
Hold on with that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right, so I'm gonna play this. Good. Thanks, Ms. and Black Man. Appreciate that. All right, so I had to cut her off because, anyway, I'm not gonna say too much. I want to be PC right now. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna share my screen here to let y'all know what's happening. So this what's going down, and let me because we got to give credit on here. Who posted this? Is a Twitter page. His name is @DrewHLive, Drew Hernandez, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this real quick. And this is our good brother Chris Lodgson from CJEC. All right, here we go.
The speaker needs to bring the bills up now. These are their bills. They have their names on the bills. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Now, listen, they gonna see this and they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills, then they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills and they scared of the government. We don't care.
We need to
Bring the goddamn bills up now.
The governor needs to understand that the world is watching California, and this is going to have a direct impact on your friend, Kamala Harris, who's running for president. This is going to have a direct impact. So pull up the bills now, vote on them, and sign them.
We have
We've
the
been
votes.
waiting for over 400 years.
The speaker needs to bring the bills up now. These are their.
Okay, family. So I wanted to play that video real quick. So we do have people still fighting, family. So we're just gonna try to roll, see if something happens. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen, family? Take one right here, spell check. So let's see. There might be a miracle, family, but I do appreciate those who are watching. And let's just see. Who knows?
Settings for people under 18.
Months ago, Quality California and the Trevor Project began meeting with Senator Skinner and her staff, as well as staff of the Attorney General's office, about a number of concerns with the bill. Senator Skinner has been a longtime ally and champion of the LGBTQ+ community, and I know that she sought to address their concerns. Unfortunately, the amendments that were requested were not made. Many of them were not made. And Quality California expressed that it was critically important to acknowledge that older teens experience different developmental stages than younger children, and respecting their privacy and autonomy requires differences in design. Equality California offered amendments consistent with a similar bill that recently passed the United States Senate with overwhelming bipartisan support. That bill required that platforms allow parents to control the privacy and account settings for younger children, meanwhile ensuring that older teens are empowered to make their own choices about their online experience and giving them the ability to control certain privacy and account settings themselves. That approach is consistent with leading experts in the Biden administration's Kids Online Health and Safety Task Force, which released a report just last month outlining key recommendations to promote online health and safety for young people. Colleagues, the bill we are voting on today is well-intentioned, but the scope is extremely broad. It applies to all social media platforms for all minors under 18 and provides no acknowledgement of young people who may not have parents who are devoted in their lives or even more concerning, parents who don't support their ability to discover affirming spaces. Lastly, earlier today, as my colleague just mentioned, I spoke with the Attorney General's office and Senator Skinner about the bill's definition of addictive feed and remain concerned that the bill's overly broad language related to algorithmic content delivery will limit the ability of LGBTQ plus young people to discover affirming online spaces and educational sources. Colleagues, I know we are all rightly want to do everything we can to protect kids and give parents the tools they need to be involved in their kids' online experience, and I want that too. During my time at Equality California, it was always a top priority to ensure that LGBTQ young people continue to have access to affirming online spaces, and I know that Equality California's position is in line with the long-standing positions of the major LGBTQ organizations across the country. This bill is opposed by a wide range of civil rights organizations serving the LGBTQ plus community, including Equality California, ACLU, San Francisco Sacramento LGBTQ Center, National Center for Lesbian Rights, Trans Family Support Services, Trans Latina Coalition, Trans Youth Liberation, and the Trevor Project. So while I certainly share the goal of making online spaces safer for young people, I appreciate the author's dedication to this issue. I'm appreciative and want to thank the Attorney General and Senator Skinner. I ultimately cannot support this bill today because of the problems with it, but I also appreciate that with the suggested compromise that the Attorney General has said, that people, that I understand that people may want to take that into account as they vote today. So with that, I ask for, I thank you for the ability to make these comments.
Thank you, Mr. Zuber. Mr. Mathis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is a complicated issue. But I mean, we're talking about social media and our kids. Our kids. How many of us parents have gone into our kids' bedrooms at night and they still got their phone on because they fell asleep with the stuff on? This bill helps to stop that. We've had other legislation talking about cell phone usage during school hours. This bill also helps to address that. We do a lot in this body to try to protect children as a whole. This bill, I understand the opposition. I understand the concern to make sure that there are safe places. There are spaces that kids need to be able to go to connect with other kids that are like them. And social media allows that. It has multiple platforms, probably more than most of us all realize, that are out there. But to have that safeguard, to actually hold a little bit of responsibility on the sector and say, hey, you guys know this. Let's think about the addicting side of this. There's a reason why Lotto, when you go and you play the slot machines, why they light up, why they make noises. There's a reason why those same pop-up ads use that same psychological technology to reel us in, to get us to want to tap that next thing that's on our phone, that next ad that's on our phone. After that next social media video plays, that ad pops up. And it gives that dopamine hit to our kids that makes them want to keep going and to keep playing. Members, I ask you to think about your kids. Think about your grandkids. Think about the kind of world you want them to grow up in. And yes, to the points of the opposition. Yeah, we want to make sure that there's a safe spaces for them. But we also need to limit what they're carrying around in their pockets. We need to eliminate and do what we can to safeguard, to put these guide rails on something that we know. We know good and well that these are addictive. We don't want to admit it. We do these little things. We track how much time we spend on these devices, how much time we spend on apps. But where's the accountability at? They know they have an addictive product, but yet they continue to push it on our children. So just as we've gone after flavored tobacco, as we've gone after everything else, this is something that we can say, hey, let's put something here in place that'll help dial it back just a little bit. So I want to thank the author. I want to thank everybody that has worked on this bill to really look and see what we can do to help our children out. And with that, members, I ask you for an aye vote. Thank you.
Assemblymember Bauer Kahan, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members. And I want to thank my colleague from across the aisle for speaking in support. I do think this is a bipartisan issue. I think that it is one of the things really nationally, even in Washington, that our parties agree on is the need to protect our kids from these addictive features. And I personally have been a longtime ally of the LGBTQ plus community. My sister, who is married to a woman, when I was writing the briefs in the gay marriage cases, called me. She said, I don't think this is about me. I think this is just about civil rights for LGBTQ plus community. And I said, that's right. And I continue to be someone who stands here and advocates every day for LGBTQ youth and our LGBTQ plus community writ large. And there is no question in my mind that every youth needs to be protected from these addictive features. And yes, they need access to community, and this bill does not stop that, but that they need the protections to ensure that they are safe. And so, you know, we tried to address the concerns of our colleague by saying we would continue to work on it. That commitment was real. I know that the AG made that commitment in good faith, and with that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
And with that, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Ms. Bauer-Kahan moves the call. We're going to lift the call on item number 112, AB 1777. The clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Ting moves the call. Moving to file item 83 SB 1390. Senator Caballero by Ms. Aguiar-Curry. Clerk will read.
The Senate Bill 1390 by Senator Caballero and others enacted into groundwater.
Members, your attention please to Assembly Member Aguiar-Curry. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today I rise to present SB 1390 on behalf of Senator Caballero. This bill builds upon the progress made in the past year to enable California to divert for flood flows to groundwater recharge. As we all know, California experiences extreme weather conditions, including extreme drought that depletes groundwater resources and atmospheric rivers that lead to extensive flood damage. Recognizing the need for additional tools to manage destructive flood flows and the need
Members.
to utilize,
Please.
and
You
the
need to
need,
If you need to have a conversation, please take it off the floor. Give your respectful attention to the members who are trying to present their bills.
and the need to utilize excess water for the long-term health of groundwater basins, Governor Newsom issued an executive order in March of 2023, which authorized water agencies to divert excess flood flows for groundwater recharge without the need to obtain a costly and time-consuming permit. AB 1390 builds on that progress of the executive order by allowing additional recharge projects to be completed in a safe and responsible manner to move California towards a more sustainable water future. Recent amendments provide clarifying language to protect the operations of the State Water Project and the Central Valley Project, while finding a balance necessary to allow for groundwater recharge. As we know, water is complicated, and there will never be one perfect solution. The author remains committed to working with stakeholders going forward to ensure that the intent of the bill is fully realized for all parties. As California faces more extreme weather events, we have to maximize the tools we have available to ensure a sustainable water future. We need to replenish our aquifers, and we need to prevent flooding. The bill before you today does both. I respectfully ask for your aye vote and request immediate transmittal to the Senate.
Thank you, Assemblymember Aguilar Curry. Mr. Mathis, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker and members, I want to thank the author for her efforts in this bill, but it's not done yet. There's still a lot of work to be done. Last year, we went from record rainfall, floods. My district flooded out. The Great Tule Lake of the southern San Joaquin Valley came back. And some of the things in this bill could mess up how we diverted some of that water, how we protected homes from getting flooded. So I have some great concerns of what's happening with the language of this bill. The floods that we had were so bad, I had to work the phones and call in helicopters to help evacuate people from some of our native tribes up on the Tule Reservation. So I don't stand here just to talk on this. I stand here because I'm truly concerned about my district and what happens when it floods. We also have another problem in my district that I've talked quite a bit on over the last 10 years about droughts and about the loss of water and how we need to capture that and store it. We're going after the right thing here, but this isn't fully done. Because the last thing we need to do in a flood year is not have the ability to move the water in the right way to protect homes from being flooded out. In my hometown, we had to do diversions to protect a hospital, to protect everything. We had to go in and do that. And I am concerned that with this bill, we won't be able to do those things. I don't know how many of you have ever had a flood or experienced the flood and been actually on the ground to move the dirt in those split-second decisions that have to be made. Members, I had to get a hold of the High-Speed Rail Authority to get dirt moved so we had an egress route so we could get hundreds of people safely and have space to get out of Alpaugh. You want to know how hard that is to get a hold of high-speed rail and ask them for something that's their property and to divert things around? Thankfully, I have a relationship with the secretary and we were able to do that. But it took us hours. So when we have legislation that could tie us up, that could tie our hands when we need to be able to act, when we need to be able to move during a flood situation, that causes concern. I would never ask any of you to vote on something that could potentially harm your homes, your neighborhoods, your friends and your neighbors in a flood event. So let's take a pause here and we can always come back on this. We can always come back. We can look. We can get this better. But when we have these flood and drought years, yes, we do need to be able to have the tools. And I know the author is headed in the right direction with this, but this one's not fully cooked. I ask you to lay off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Ms. Aguiar-Curry, would you like to close? Seeing and hearing no other debate. Ms. Aguiar-Curry, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Ms. Aguiar-Curry moves to call. Moving to file item 84, SB 675, Senator Limon by Assemblymember Wicks. The clerk, 675, Senator Limon by Assemblymember Wicks. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 675 by Senator Limon and others, enacting the fire prevention.
Assemblymember Wicks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 675 incorporates prescribed grazing into the state's wildfire prevention policies. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Wicks. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 57, noes 0, measure passes. Moving to file item 85, SB 615, Senator Allen by Assemblymember Aguiar-Curry. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 615 by Senator Allen and others, enacting hazardous waste.
Assemblymember, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, as California transitions to zero-emission vehicles, we have to ask the question, what do we do with all those EV batteries? We are starting to see some development in the market and infrastructure designed to recycle EV batteries, but we are nowhere close to having enough infrastructure to deal with this growing issue. SB 615 would create a comprehensive program under DTSC to ensure all EV traction batteries are properly handled and eventually recycled by qualified recyclers at the end of their useful life. Auto dismantlers and secondary users, like people who repurpose batteries for storage, would be required to ensure that the battery is recycled at the end of its useful life. SB 615 would also ensure that battery suppliers, the vehicle manufacturers, and the battery producers are the ones who are ultimately held responsible for their batteries. This will not only make manufacturing new batteries more efficient, but will also support the growth of domestic green jobs. The author has worked extensively with stakeholders representing all entities who may handle these batteries during their life cycle to ensure the program is crafted and will be feasible. It is worth noting that all stakeholders agreed we should be recycling EV batteries. After recent amendments, there is now no opposition to the bill, and it is now supported by environmental organizations, vehicle manufacturers, labor, and recyclers. I thank you very much, and I ask you for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Ragbir-Curry. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally of the vote size, 47 noes, 3. Measure passes. Mr. Ting is asking to move the call or lift the call on file item 112, AB 1777. The clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those, clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. The roll is still open. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 41, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are going to lift the call on file item 80, SB 976. Clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 42, noes 4. Measure passes. Moving to file item 87, SB 1400, Senator Stern by Mr. McCarty. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1400 by Senator Stern and others, enact relating to criminal procedure.
Mr. McCarty, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I present this bill on behalf of Senator Stern. This is a follow-up from his bill 2 years ago, which dealt with individuals arrested with misdemeanors who were declared incompetent to stand trial. Unfortunately, there was a loophole and individuals were released without ever getting the treatment that they desperately needed. So we've reformed a lot of laws in the last couple of years with conservatorships and SB 43. And this is another part of that effort to make sure we help people who don't slip through the cracks, end up going from incarceration right back to our streets and get the needed treatment that they deserve. This was a lot of work. The senator wanted me to acknowledge the chairs of the Judiciary and Health Committee for working on this measure and respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 44, noes 1. Measure passes. And we're going to leave. We are going to lift the call on SB 1037. Clerk will post. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 42, noes 15. Measure passes. We're going to move back to file item number 70, SB 1208, Senator Padilla by Ms. Berner. The clerk will read.
The Senate Bill 1208 by Senator Padilla, enact relating to solid waste.
Assemblymember Berner, you are recognized.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present SB 1208 on behalf of Senator Padilla. This bill, as amended by our esteemed colleague from Coachella and chair of ESTM, requires environmental review of any new landfill in the Tijuana River watershed by the Regional Water Board and the Cal EPA Secretary. In the fine print of a ballot measure 15 years ago, proper environmental review was removed. And to be clear, no other landfill in the state in any of your districts have not undergone sufficient environmental review. SB 1208 simply adds back in those safeguards. A recent study shows that in San Diego, we have existing landfill capacity for at least the next 30 years. So in the future, if a landfill is necessary, this balances any potential future need for a landfill with protecting our San Diego South Bay and coastal communities. Most of you at some point have voted on bills, budgets, or bonds that includes cleanup for one of the most complicated and polluted watersheds in the United States. SB 1208 is another step in environmental justice and protection for this complicated and polluted watershed. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on SB 1208.
Thank you, Assemblymember Berner. Assemblymember Alvarez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in respectful opposition to Senate Bill 1208. I offered a reasonable amendment to the bill, which was unfortunately rejected, and now I have no choice but to rise in opposition. I represent the San Diego community in the Tijuana River Valley. I've been working on cross-border water and air pollution crisis in the Tijuana River Valley for over 15 years. And I have strongly supported and advocated for local, state, and federal action to clean up the air and the water for my South County residents. The source of the cross-border pollution problem is entirely south of the border. The lack of adequate sewage treatment in the growing city of Tijuana has always been the cause of the pollution problems in the River Valley. I also represent the San Diego community of Otay Mesa, where for over a decade there has been a proposal for a new landfill located near the Donovan State Prison and a power plant. While the location of the proposed landfill is technically on the northern edge of the Tijuana River watershed, There is not a single study that shows that any current or proposed use in Otay Mesa has any effect at all on the environmental quality of the Tijuana River Valley. Simply put, the proposed landfill and the Tijuana River Valley have nothing to do with one another. However, I do share the author's belief that given the degraded condition of the Tijuana River Valley, we should do everything in our power to ensure that no future project harms its water quality. The agency in San Diego that enforces our state and federal laws about water quality is the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board, headed by their executive director, David Gibson. That is why my amendment would have put them in charge of determining whether the proposed landfill would protect water quality in full accord with all laws and regulations. I strongly disagree with the author that any other agency should be added to make the determination about whether the proposed landfill should receive their discharge permits in order to operate. Not only is the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board the state agency that is supposed to make these decisions, but Executive Officer, David Gibson is quite possibly the most qualified person in the state of California to head this effort. Dave Gibson's credibility on the Tijuana River Valley pollution issue is unmatched even by me or anybody else. He's been working on this for over 2 decades. Right now, Dave Gibson could take all of us on a tour of the River Valley and not only explain in detail its hydrology, biochemistry, and ecology, but he could introduce you to every ranch owner and resident in the valley and all of the stakeholders, like the Tijuana River Valley Equestrian Association and the Audubon Society. In fact, fun fact, Tijuana River Valley is one of the greatest places to go bird watching and the only place, I think, in the state of California, in Southern California for sure, where you can ride a horse on the beach. And Dave Gibson knows all of the stakeholders well. His scientific knowledge, his knowledge of the relevant laws and regulations, and his extensive history of working on this issue all make him the single best person most qualified to lead the effort on evaluating whether the potential project has an impact on water quality in the Tijuana River Valley. The author has told me that he does not trust the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board to perform these duties. This contention is both plain wrong and frankly offensive. Dave Gibson and all of the staff at the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board are honorable public servants who have faithfully served the state of California. They deserve our respect and our trust that they will protect the water quality of Tijuana River Valley, and I still believe that they will. That is why I urge you to vote no on this bill today. We can always come back next session and pass a bill that puts the right people in charge of protecting the river valley and its water quality, but I urge you to oppose this bill today. Colleagues, today I got a call from someone who I introduced to
30
all of
seconds.
you not long ago, Don Miguel Ruiz, and his book is The 4 Agreements. There are 4 principles, and 2 of them I want to share with you today. One, as one of the 4 agreements says, is always do your best. And I will always do my best work with you, each one of you. That is why I always try to get yes on your bills. I tried my best here with the amendment I offered, and I was not successful. I'm also thankful for the
you,
many
Mr.
moments
Alvarez.
of joy
Thank you, Mr.
that I have.
Alvarez. Your time has expired.
May I plead?
Your time has expired. Other speakers? Would you like to close, Ms. Bernie?
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Ms. Burnham moves the call. We're now moving to file item 73, SB 1420, Senator Caballero by Assemblymember Petrie Norris. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1420 by Senator Caballero and others, and act relating to energy.
Ms. Petrie Norris, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise to present SB 1420 on behalf of Senator Caballero, a measure that will advance California's commitment to clean energy and support the state's ambitious clean hydrogen goals. SB 1420 will create a clear path for a sustainable transition to a clean energy economy by delivering benefits such as improved air quality, reduced energy costs for consumers, and the creation of high-quality green energy jobs. In its 2022 scoping plan, the California Air Resources Board determined that California will be unable to achieve our carbon neutrality goals without greatly expanding the production and use of hydrogen. The scoping plan suggests that the transition to carbon neutrality includes adding approximately 1,700 times the amount of the 2022 hydrogen supply. SB 1420 will expedite permitting and litigation for specific state and federally funded hydrogen projects that are in line with California's strong environmental laws. It should be noted that hydrogen production projects that utilize fossil fuel as a feedstock are not eligible for expedited permitting under this measure. This bill specifies that the only eligible hydrogen facilities are those that receive funding from three sources. First, California's Hydrogen Hub, the ARCHES, the Alliance for Renewable Clean Hydrogen Energy Systems, the state-funded hydrogen program administered by the CEC, and third, the 2024 Climate Bond, which is subject to non-combustion biomass utilization. I just want to be very clear and emphasize that the bill does not allow a project to proceed outside of the CEQA process, nor does it have any impact on the public's ability to provide comment and input on a project. SB 1420 will enable California to leverage $1.2 billion in federal funding that has been awarded to ARCHES, to California's Hydrogen Hub, and unlock private sector investment, which is estimated to bring an additional $10 billion or more into our state, all while creating hundreds of jobs in underserved communities and reducing emissions across the state. Respectfully ask for an aye vote and for immediate transmittal to the Senate floor.
Thank you. Mr. Mathis, you are recognized.
Look, members, I'll be quick on this one. Hydrogen is where we need to go. I've been saying it over and over. I've been preaching it for the last 10 years. This bill helps us get there. Let's get some hydrogen. Let's move forward. I ask you for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no other debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 44, noes 1. Measure passes with immediate transmittal to the Senate. No. Nope. Hold that. Not immediate transmittal. Moving to file item 89. SB 572 by Ms. Smallwood Cuevas by Assemblymember Bryan. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 572 by Senator Smallwood Cuevas and others, enacting the state property.
Mr. Bryan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. This is a district bill by my senator, Senator Smallwood Cuevas. It's about an EDD building that's been vacant and abandoned for quite some time. This bill would convert it to a community land trust for affordable housing and other public goods for the community. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 55, no 0. Measure passes. Moving to file item 91. Senator Min by Assemblymember Friedman. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1221 by Senator Min, enacting the gas corporations.
Assemblymember Friedman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 1221 requires the CPUC to evaluate zero-emission alternatives to gas pipeline replacement projects and encourages the state utilities to pilot cost-effective zero-emission alternative projects. By piloting these zero-emission projects, California can save ratepayer money, reduce emissions, and better inform the state's transition away from natural gas for indoor heating and cooling. The bill designates priority neighborhood decarbonization zones to ensure low-income customers and disadvantaged communities are prioritized in this transition. Recent amendments have removed much of the opposition. And with that, I would request an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Friedman. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 41, noes 13. Measure passes. Moving to file item 92, SB 1381, Senator Wahab by Mr. Berman. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1381 by Senator Wahab and others, enact relating to crimes.
Mr. Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 1381 prohibits individuals from possessing and distributing explicit abusive images of children that have been generated by artificial intelligence. I know this is something we can all support. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 52, noes 1. Measure passes. Moving to file item 93, SB 1394, Senator Min by Dr. Weber. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1394 by Senator Min and others, enact relating to vehicles.
Dr. Weber, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, SB 1394 is a collaborative effort between Senators Aspie, Min, and myself, and it's a bill that enhances protection for abuse survivors by regulating the use of connected vehicle services. This bill has no opposition, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 64, noes 1. Measure passes. Moving to file item 95, SB 422, Senator Portantino by Mr. Zuber. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 422 by Senator Portantino, enact relating to unemployment insurance.
Mr. Zuber, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'm presenting SB 422 on behalf of Senator Portantino. SB 422 is a vital measure for the entertainment industry and associated small businesses in California. For over 100 years, the motion picture industry of California has been an economic engine for good union jobs and small businesses, as well as a generator of state and local income taxes. I'm going to skip through this to shorten it because I've been instructed to do so. I just want you to know that this has very strong support from both labor and the film industry. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Zuber. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 61, no 0. Measure passes. We're moving to file item 1, SB 1162, Senator Cortese by Mr. Kalra. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1162 by Senator Cortese, enact relating to public contracts.
Mr. Kalra, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please present SB 1162 on behalf of Senator Cortese. This bill has bipartisan support, no opposition. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Kalra. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 52, no 0. Measure passes. Moving to file item number 2, SB 1350, Senator Durazo by Assemblymember Bonta. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1350 by Senator Durazo, enact relating to private employment.
Assemblymember Bonta, you are recognized.
Speaker and members, SB 1350 will bring California into compliance with the broader federal OSHA protections for domestic workers. Specifically, SB 1350 extends OSHA protections under California law to agency-based domestic workers and clarifies that the exclusion only applies to the work of employees who are hired for what are commonly regarded as ordinary domestic household tasks, including house cleaning, cooking, and caregiving. This bill is an important step towards ensuring all workers, including those who care for what is most precious to us, our homes and our families, have the dignity of health and safety protections in their workplace. SB 1350 has a strong bipartisan support and has no opposition. On behalf of Senator Durazo, I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Bonta. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 52, noes 4. Measure passes. We're going back to concurrence in the Senate amendments. We're moving to item number 5, AB 1960, Speaker Rivas's bill, being presented by Mr. Zuber. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1960 by Speaker Robert Rivas and others, enacting to sentencing.
Mr. Zuber, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, on behalf of Speaker Rivas, AB 1960 is back from the Senate after technical amendments. AB 1960 is the final piece of the legislature's comprehensive package of bills to address retail crime and theft in a meaningful and balanced way. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Zuber. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 53, noes 4. Senate amendments are concurred in. No, it's me. Assemblymember Aguiar-Curry, you're recognized for your motion, your procedural motion.
Mr. Speaker, there is a letter of legislative intent at the desk relative to AB 518 Wicks. I move to print the letters in the journal pursuant to Assembly Rule 42C.
Mr. Flora?
We object to this. Ask for a roll call vote.
Thank you. Ms. Aguiar-Curry moved, that Mr. Santiago seconded. Mr. Flora is objecting. We will open the roll. Majority Leader Aguilar-Curry asking for an aye vote. Mr. Flora asking for a no vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 45, noes 15. Motion carries. Still on concurrence in the Senate amendments, we're moving to file item 110, AB 551 by Mr. Bennett. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 551 by Assemblymember Bennett, an act relating to the Public Utilities Commission.
Mr. Bennett, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, AB 551 will allow us to address the transmission challenges that we have by making it easier for us to move more quickly, updating our transmission review process so that we can get projects off the ground and meet our energy needs. This bill has no opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 67, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving now to file item 101, AB 1008 by Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1008 by Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan, an act relating to privacy.
Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is a bill that does clean up to the CCPA by ensuring our data is kept private. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Cahan. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 46, noes 13. Senate amendments are concurred in.
Reyes, vote change, AB 1777. Aye to not voting.
Vote change, Assemblymember Reyes, Assembly Bill 1777, aye to not voting.
Ready? Hi, this is Assemblymember Dixon, number SB 1070, from no to yes.
Vote change, Assemblymember Dixon, Senate Bill 1070, no to aye.
Number SB 1381, from no to aye.
Vote change, Assemblymember Dixon, Senate Bill 1381, no to aye.
And SB 1394, no to aye.
Vote change, Assemblymember Dixon, Senate Bill 1394, no to aye.
Yeah, Jim Patterson, AB 2837, aye to no.
Vote change, Assemblymember Jim Patterson, Assembly Bill 2837, aye to no.
Members, we are going to, I'm going to do something, but I want to just preface it by saying we are not done. We are still waiting for bills from the Senate, but we are moving to a vote on the consent calendar because we have to do that at some point. So does any member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read the second-day consent calendar.
The Senate Concurrent Resolution 13 by Senator Roth relative to the Joseph Tagliafione Memorial Interchange.
The clerk will open the roll on the consent calendar. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 66, noes 0. The consent calendar is adopted. Clerk will read the remaining items on the consent calendar.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 159
Ayes 66, no 0.
and Senate Concurrent Resolution 169.
Ayes 66, no 0. Moving to we're back in concurrence, members. We're moving to file item 107, AB 518 by Assemblymember Wicks. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 518 by Assemblymember Wicks and others, enacted into CalFresh.
Assemblymember Wicks, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 518 requires the Department of Social Services to develop a methodology for determining the state's CalFresh participation rate and identifying characteristics of residents who are eligible but not receiving benefits. AB 518 sets in motion a process that will ultimately help prevent hunger in California. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Wicks. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. My apologies. My apologies, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, you are recognized.
Yeah, I know.
My apologies.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While I appreciate the intent of this bill to increase the amount of enrollees in the CalFresh program, I have to respectfully rise in opposition to the bill. While I support the effort to increase participation and maximize federal dollars from CalFresh, as the Human Services Committee Chair, I have concern with this bill in print. The bill was never heard by a policy committee in this House. The bill does not include CalFresh's companion program, California Food Assistance Program, and we should also be considering how to maximize food access to our important immigrant population. Most importantly, this bill allows data sharing without consent or opt-in out option, and it is far too broad. I'm deeply concerned how this will impact low-income individuals. It allows for the sharing of health information, utility bills, juvenile records, and children's information without any guardrails. This population deserves the same privacy as everyone in this room. There should not be different standards for those who are trying to access food. I believe the intent might not have been to compromise the privacy rights of low-income people and to exclude CFAP. However, given that this bill was a late gun amendment this week, there's simply not enough time to fix it. This bill should be reintroduced in January where we can fully vet it and ensure that our low-income population is protected. Members, I just want to reiterate that this bill does not have restrictions on what can be done with the data, and there's no requirement to keep this information confidential. While I respect the author and the intent, and I really do appreciate the intent, it definitely should go through the policy process of privacy and human services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Saleh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise in opposition to this bill. I agree with my colleague on the other side that this should have gone through regular order and gone through the Health and Services Committee for proper vetting. I think this is a good example of why bills should not be rushed through our process. We need to take the time to deliberate and make thoughtful consideration because these bills can have unintended consequences as we're seeing here. While I do appreciate the intent to provide greater access to CalFresh, I too have grave concerns about the privacy interests of Californians. This bill suspends all privacy laws and regulations to allow the sharing of information between government agencies. We're talking about health information, immigration information, education records, employment records, tax records, utility information, juvenile information. There is no restriction on the category, class, or type of information that can be shared between government agencies. I think we should really tread carefully and bring this bill back next year and take it through regular order, as we frankly should do with all bills. So for that, I respectfully oppose the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Saleh. Assemblymember Wicks.
Thank you,
Would you
Mr.
like to
Speaker.
close?
Members, I appreciate the concerns raised. I've spoken to our chair of the Human Services Committee as well as our chair of the Privacy Committee. This did go through Policy Committee in the Senate. We are committed to working with the governor's office on a fix in January. That would be urgency clause to fix some of the privacy concerns, which I think are very doable. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Wicks. And with that, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 42, noes 4. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 131, AB 3068 by Mr. Haney. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3068 by Assemblymember Haney and others, and accolade to housing.
Mr. Haney, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 3068 is back for concurrence. This bill will jumpstart these office to housing conversions, helping to revitalize our downtowns. It's a hugely important bill for my city and cities across the state. We also have labor standards in the bill that have agreement between the carpenters and the trades. They've come together and agreed on labor standards. It's a huge win. These labor standards are just for the conversions. It was also clarified in the bill that for all other adjacent properties, that previous labor standards will continue to apply. I think that's important. This is a hugely important bill for our cities, for our state, to bring more housing and also revitalize our downtown, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Mr. Ward, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in deeply respectful opposition to the concurrence in these Senate amendments. We worked really hard. There's nobody in this room that's been working harder on this issue because of what's happening in downtown San Francisco, to be able to try our best to be able to change some of the standards, to be able to support more residential development and the conversion that we do need to see in our downtown revitalizations. We worked really hard with the author in the springtime, our committee members and our committee staff, to be able to find something that was both workable for this format as well as consistent with what we've had in, you all know, those very tricky negotiations when we think about not just labor standards, but the balance of state and local responsibilities, economic feasibility with our housers. And regrettably, some of the amendments that we are on the floor debating here today that were taken up in the Senate have really moved some of the dynamics of those balanced considerations in a way that I worry is infeasible. We do not have the time, of course, to bring this back into committee, and I would have loved to have been able to have that here, as we often do when something comes back to this House. But I would respectfully oppose these, because even if you're looking at some of the notes here today, the original sponsor of this bill, YIMBY Action, has now come out in an opposed position. Many of our housers that work hard on these issues are regrettably also in opposition. I do want to continue to work with the author on this, and I will. But for today, I would respectfully request a no vote on concurrence and Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Ms. Wicks, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to align my comments with the chair, our chair of housing, with great respect to the author. I share those concerns as well. We've had many conversations around feasibility of labor standards and what those could mean. I would love to have this bill come back and work with the author around what those could look like. But for today, I'll be voting no on the bill and respectfully ask for a no vote.
Thank you. Seeing and hearing no further debate, Mr. Haney, would you like to close?
Thank you. I have great respect for both of my colleagues and their comments. This bill is very narrowly tailored, just existing commercial office buildings, conversions to housing. These are existing buildings. The labor standards in this bill were agreed upon between the carpenters and the trades. These are two folks that have been fighting about labor standards, and we actually brought them together to reach consensus on this bill. It only applies to these types of projects. Other labor standards will apply on ground up projects. I think this is a win-win. It's an optional program. Nobody's forced to take advantage of it, but if you take advantage of it, you get streamlined, you get benefits, and you use high labor standards. I think that's good for our state. And colleagues, I hope that we can move forward on this bill. I think it is a win-win. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Haney? Mr. Haney moves the call. Members, we are moving to file item 129, AB 2935 by Mr. Mainshine. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2935 by Assemblymember Mainshine and others, enact lead to foster care.
Mr. Main, members, please, your attention to Mr. Mainshine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 2935 is back for concurrence. This bill aims to protect foster youth from identity theft by requiring their credit reports to be frozen until they turn 18. Amendments address opposition concerns. And I want to read just a portion of the support for this and other bills on this topic that I just received. Think of the foster kids that won't be homeless, that won't be victimized by criminals or trafficked because of these bills. Thank you for these people whose names you'll never know and whom you will never meet, but whose lives, and so the lives of their friends, their children, and their grandchildren will all be better because of this bill. And I want to also say that this is my last bill. I want to thank my colleagues very much. I've enjoyed this. I'm proud of the work that I've done with all of you, and I look forward to getting home to LA, my girls. So thank you, and I respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mainshine. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tallying the votes ayes 53, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in.
Assemblymember McCarty, vote change, AB 177017, aye to not voting.
Vote
Said
change,
it.
Assemblymember McCarty. Assembly Bill 1777, aye to not voting.
If you ain't up on political game, respectfully, sir, we ain't the same. We built this country, it wasn't in vain. Red, white, and blue is our claim to fame. I don't really care what you have to say. Facts over fiction is the motto relayed. Muhammad Ali came up from the clay. Grassroots built up this USA. Now knowing your history, you'll get played. Equip yourself cause you came to slay any opponent that's up in our way. Look at Malcolm X and his delivery. Any debate, he would make them pay. One round, eat them up like souffle. Boots on the ground from the past and today. Tradition must carry on every single day. On this month, we have the rise of the Phoenix, George Jackson. From the day that we landed from Arthur Ashe, when the Wimbledon game birthed the Henrietta Lacks. Second, J Baldwin born with the fire next time. 1964 Jersey race, struggle is sublime. Speech of Frederick Douglass, no struggle is no progress. Florida gets rid of slavery, it was grotesque. Emancipation Day for the Black Creek Nation. Louis Armstrong born the great trumpet sensation. Andrew Johnson denied the freedmen. Confiscation Act tried to patch the bleeding. Cali House and the ex-slave pension. North Pole Trailblazer Matthew Hickson. Whitney Houston turned the Star Spangled Out. Isaac Hayes with the stars, no doubt. Watts rebelled, Black Chicago caught hell with the infamous riot tales. As we say, we go black, 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 black. Here we go, black, 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 black. Come on, say black, 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 black. Here we go, y'all, black, black. Black 1 2 1 2 13. Surgeon General Minnie Lee Jones. Ernest just fertility chromosome. Julian Bond activist politician. Dorothy West were words with precision. Marcus Garvey United. Rayford Johnson all around athletes. Lunch counter sit-ins. Oklahoma City. Jamestown home of the first slaves pixie. Melvin Van Peebles sweet sweet bag. Huey P. Newton keeping it black. Houston Revolution. Bayard Rustin. Althea Gibson. Mr. Johnson got NASA buzzing. MLK. The great last speech. Marshall Washington with the protest speech. Wendell Scott. Colonel Blueford. Kenny Washington. NFL word. When we talking about to turn it out. When we talking about 1 2 1 2, talking about black, 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 black. Here we go, y'all. Black, black.
Members, we are moving to concurrence in of Senate amendments. Moving to file item 201. Waiting for a piece of paper here. File item 201 AB 863 by Assemblymember Aguirre Curry. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 863 by Assemblymember Aguilar Curry and others, and relating to recycling.
Aguirre Curry, you are recognized.
AB 863 is back on concurrence. Amendments remove opposition from the Resilient Flooring, Synthetic Turf, Automotive Cushion Industries, as well as California Retailers Association. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 45, noes 5. Moving to file item 202, AB 1042 by Assemblymember Bauer Kahan. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1042 by Assemblymember Bauer Kahan and others, and relating to agriculture.
Assemblymember Bauer Kahan, you are recognized.
Members, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 43, noes 12, measure passes. Moving to file out 203, AB 1113 by Mr. McCarty. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1113 by Assemblymember McCarty and others, and relating to pupil data.
Mr. McCarty, you are recognized.
Thank you. Last bill ever, after-school programs. Ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote, clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 63, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 204, AB 1205 by Ms. Bauer Kahan. Ms. Bauer Kahan, clerk will read. Okay, passing temporarily on file item 204. Moving to file item 205, AB 98, Assemblymember Carrillo, clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 98 by Assemblymember Juan Carrillo and others, and relating to land use.
Mr. Carrillo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to present Assembly Bill 98. This bill would provide fair standards for new and expanded warehouses near communities and other sensitive sectors. And this year, in my role as Assembly Local Government Chair, the Speaker tasked me with facilitating difficult but necessary conversations to address the issue through a working group to find a solution. Finally, I'm committed to continue to work on this next year for as many years as to make sure that there are no unintended consequences. With that, I respectfully ask for I vote.
Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. Mr. Lackey, you are recognized.
Will work. There we go. I rise to speak, unfortunately, in opposition to AB 98. This measure negatively impacts small businesses. The Hispanic, Los Angeles, and San Diego chambers are all opposed, as are the businesses that make up the Inland Empire Economic Partnership. Our cities will hurt. Farmers and their workers will be heavily impacted. This will further drive up the cost of food and everyday necessities. Most importantly, the men and women of the goods movement sector will be greatly harmed. Their average salary is about $85,000 a year. This salary, which does not require a college degree, allows them to afford a home and support a family. A lot of talking going on. This bill, if passed, will erode their financial security. The regulations and fines will increase operational costs for logistic companies. Air quality won't necessarily be better, as companies will need to reroute shipments to warehouses farther away from distribution centers. Any disruption in the warehouse capacity near these ports will directly impact the speed and efficiency which goods are processed, stored, and transported, leading to more backlogs and delays throughout the supply chain. Additionally, even more frightening, the disruption of warehouse operations could create national security risks and weaken our position in the global trade. If our ports and supply chains become less reliable, it could encourage shippers to divert cargo to other regions or countries, ultimately reducing the competitiveness of the United States in the global market. We cannot afford to let this happen. For the sake of our economy, our security, and our local communities, I urge all of you to vote no on this AB 98. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Lackey, Ms. Aguilar-Curry.
Move the previous question.
Assemblymember Bryan, Assemblymember Mainshine, Assemblymember Pellerin, Assemblymember Gabriel, all move. Assemblymember Wicks takes the majority of those present and voting to move the previous question. Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 37, noes 15. Previous question carries. The author may now close. Mr. Flora.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I understand why we just made that motion. I do. I get it. But on this particular bill, the impacts that it has for our individual communities, it's unbelievable. I would, all of us encourage, have these conversations to shut down debate on a bill that is this dramatic. I do not believe is in order. I understand that we just made that motion. I understand it just got voted on. But colleagues, this body is open for debate. This body is where we have these discussions. And to shut down debate after one conversation in opposition, nobody else ever spoke in support and or opposition. I think we should be very, very careful on how we proceed with this moving forward.
Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized for your point of order.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe that the threshold is not majority president voting, that it has to be a majority vote to move the previous question on a bill.
It is the majority and president voting. That is the rule. So your point is not well taken. Mr. Carrillo, would you like to close?
I respectfully request for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Mr. Carrillo, what is your pleasure? All those vote who desire to vote. Mr. Carrillo moves the call. Moving to file item 206, AB 1252. It's by Assemblymember Wicks. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1252 by Assemblymember Wicks and others, enacting to public safety.
Assemblymember Wicks, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this bill, AB 1252, puts in statute the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, amongst other things. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Saley, you are recognized.
Oh, I just think we should be debating all bills. I mean, I don't understand why we're cutting off debate. This is a deliberative body.
Do you have a point of order or what or is
I'm
this
talking
just-
about debating this bill and all
Do
the
you
other
have a point
bills.
of order, Mr. Saley?
No,
Then you are out of order.
Excuse me, I'm pulling up
If
my
you do not have a
notes.
point of order,
I'm
you are out of
speaking
order.
on this bill.
You did not speak about the bill. You talked about a general subject.
Okay, I'll
So
talk
do you have a
about
point
the
of
bill.
order?
The bill is about an Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And I don't think we need an Office of Gun Violence Prevention. We need to be enforcing the laws we already have on gun violence. I don't think that requires an office. We have district attorneys, we have sheriff's offices, we've got police departments. I don't understand why we would create a new bureaucracy that's going to focus on gun violence. The way you address gun violence is by enforcing the law and by having tough penalties when people use a gun in the commission of a crime. That's how you end gun violence. But opening up an office with more bureaucracy and bureaucrats to do nothing, I don't understand this at all. So I think this is a well-intended goal, but we have proven ways to end gun violence, and that's by having strict and tough consequences when you use a gun in the commission of a crime. So, Mr. Speaker, I just think this is a very unwise move, and I'm glad I can debate this. I'm glad I can exercise my voice on behalf of the 500,000 Californians I represent. They're just as equal as everyone else, and debate is important. And it's not our fault that that you all procrastinated. So here we are at the end of the clock. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ms. Wicks, would you like to close? Seeing and hearing no further debate. Would you like to close?
Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 46, noes 10. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 207, AB 1465 by Assemblymember Wicks. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1465 by Assemblymember Wicks, enacting air pollution.
Assemblymember Wicks, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is a bill I've brought up a couple times. It increases the penalties for Title V facilities, refineries, landfills, and other things. The penalties have not been increased in a couple decades. This is important to the environmental community. I know there's been recent opposition, particularly from our waste haulers. I'm committed to working with them specifically around the organics and recycling, starting next week, and seeing if we can come to a solution over the fall and in the coming months and next year to bring about a solution. I'm committed to that process. I will sit down with them and all stakeholders. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I know, like, we're at the end of our, time here, but this is an important bill to the agricultural industry. There's big problems with this bill and how it would impact, our ag facilities if this were to go into place. And we think it sets a very bad precedent for penalties for similar pollution violations can be differentiated simply by the facility type. Under this approach, other similarly permitted Title V facilities may likewise be singled out sector by sector. There is no public policy rationale for singling out refineries. Serious legal questions of equal protection and due process, especially given the impacts of air pollution violation, it would likely be the same on air quality. But the treatment and penalties applied would be based off of facility type. That's the problem here, is that we're differentiating on facility type here. And with our ag facilities, we already face, as I've said on this floor many times, we already face so many problems with this issue right now. We already have so many costs on us, and commodity prices are at an all-time low. So I would encourage you to support, to oppose.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Recognizing the majority leader for a motion.
I move to suspend Assembly Rule 108 to limit each member to speak for 30 seconds so we can pass bills while complying with tonight's constitutional deadline.
Members, this is not debatable and takes 40 votes. The clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Not debatable. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 42, no 17. The rules are suspended. Speakers are limited to 30 seconds per person. Mr. Flora.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, it's interesting. We've just gone through a week's worth of bills that arguably do something or very little. We've saved some of the biggest bills. We fought with the other house on what bills we were getting back and forth. Some of the biggest bills of the legislative session. We're choosing these bills to shut down and limit debate on. What are we doing? It is a point of order, because I've been in this body for 8 years. I've never seen us limit. I understand that we're up against the clock.
What is your point of order?
My point of order is this is absolute garbage. We cannot do democracy in the 5th largest economy and not be able to debate bills that are this big and this important.
With all due respect, your point is not well taken. Mr. Gallagher.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I believe that if you're going to limit debate to 30 seconds when the rule is that we each get 5 minutes, if we're going to do the 30 seconds, that should require a supermajority vote of this House.
It requires 40 votes. So your point of order is out of order. Madam, Ms. Bauer-Cahan, please. She did have her microphone up first. Ms. Bauer-Cahan?
Mr. Speaker, I move to call the previous question.
Previous question.
On AB 1465.
So we had Mr. Ward, we had Mr. Gabriel, Ms. Bonta, Mr. Berman. It takes a majority of those present and moving to move the previous question. The clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 41-15. Previous question carries. The author may close. I'm gonna. I recognize your point of order after Ms. Wicks closes. What is your point of order, Mr. Asali?
She has the authority to make a new rule. So she can suspend the rules, and I do think that should be supermajority, but I do not think she can make a new rule. That's my point of order.
She did not make a new rule. She suspended a rule.
She made a 30-second rule. That is a new rule.
Pardon me? Ms. Bauer-Cahan.
Speaker, I believe my motion carried and the question is appropriately called.
It did. Your point of order is not well taken, Mr. Asali.
Let her.
Mr. Gallagher, so Mr. Asali is appealing the ruling of the chair. Mr. Gallagher is seconding that. Mr. Asali, you were using dilatory tactics, which are a violation of the rules. I will no longer recognize you after this. You will no longer be recognized, Mr. Asali. So the appeal of the ruling of the chair, Mr. Asali is asking to appeal the ruling of the chair. I'm asking that you uphold the ruling of the chair. Clerk will open the roll. Mr. Asali, you are no longer recognized. You are no longer recognized. Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote to uphold the rule of the chair, ruling of the chair. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 49, noes 15. Ruling of the chair. So, you are no longer recognized, Mr. Asali. Open the roll on the bill. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 44, noes 14. We're moving to file item 208, AB 1831 by Mr. Berman. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1831 by Assemblymember Berman and others, enact later crimes.
Mr. Berman, you are recognized.
AB 1831 would prohibit the creation, possession, or distribution of AI-generated child sexual abuse material. I respectfully ask everyone for their aye vote.
All debate having ceased, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who... No, in a minute. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. Measure passes. Moving to file item 209, AB 1843 by Mr. Rodriguez. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1843 by Assemblymember Rodriguez and others, enact later private deployment.
Mr. Rodriguez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Thank you for the opportunity to present AB 1843, which is back on concurrence. The bill would significantly improve and expand the mental and emotional support options available to our EMS workers at private ambulance companies. State amendments also remove opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. It's been a pleasure and honor to serve with each and one of you, as this is my last EMS bill in my last 11 years here. Thank you all, and may God bless us all as we move forward for California.
The clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Members, please keep your concurrence statements very brief if you can. We have a lot of bills to get through, so please keep them very, very brief. Thank you. Moving to file item 210, AB 1893 by Assemblymember Wicks. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1893 by Assemblymember Wicks, enacting the land use.
Ms. Wicks, you are recognized.
Thank you. AB 1893 is back on concurrence. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 42, no 7. Measure passes. Moving to file item 211, AB 2095 by Mr. Mainshine. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2095 by Assemblymember Mainshine, enacting the public notice.
Mr. Mainshine, you are
AB
recognized.
2095 is back on concurrence, passed 39-0 in the Senate. Respectfully request your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 64, no 0. Measure passes. Moving to file item 213. AB 2243. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2243 by Assemblymember Wicks, enacting the housing.
Assemblymember Wicks, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2243 is back on concurrence. It was on consent when it was here last time. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing. Mr. Patterson, you are recognized.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to look at this bill more close, and I think I'm going to lay off of it today. And I think, but I think we skipped a number 212, which is really what caught me off guard. I didn't get an opportunity to read the full analysis on it. So because of that, I think I'm just going to have to lay off. So with that, I ask everybody else to lay off too.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. I'm going to ask the clerk to lift the call on file item 205. Oh, I'm sorry, closing the roll on file item ayes 58, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in on 213. We're going to lift the call on file item 205. Clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 42, noes 14. Measure passes. Moving to file item 214, AB 2250 by Dr. Weber. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2250 by Assemblymember Weber and others, enacting the health.
Dr. Weber, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2250 is back on concurrence. Respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Dr. Weber. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote. Apologies, Mr. Gallagher.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
recognized.
Speaker. I oppose this bill, and I ask that we turn down this bill. It mandates screenings for social detriments of health as defined as covered benefit under the Medi-Cal program. It extends the same mandate to healthcare service plans and health insurance policies to cover screenings, expands coverage mandates to include subjective questioning of a patient on their upbringing and current living situation. This is not another mandate that we need in our Medi-Cal system. It increases costs, increases premiums. I urge a no vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 49, no 6. Senate amendments are concurred in. Move to file item 215, AB 2263 by Assemblymember Friedman. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2263 by Assemblymember Friedman and others, enacting the public social services.
Member Friedman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am very happy that my final bill on the floor of the legislature is a priority of JPAC and the Jewish Caucus. and is a bill to uplift the most vulnerable amongst us with a guaranteed basic income study. And like that, she's gone.
Thank you. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this is why it's very important for us to be able to debate these bills. This is a guaranteed income bill, establishing a framework for guaranteed income across the board. This has already been looked at. This has not worked in many locations. It was started in Stockton. The mayor was actually not reelected, and the program was a failure. And so we're trying to do, we're going to do a statewide program of something that we know doesn't work, period. And so,
Thank
you
you,
know,
Mr.
now,
Gallagher.
but we're just going to pass this
Thank you,
through.
Mr. Gallagher.
I think I
Mr.
still
Gallagher,
have.
yeah, that was 30 seconds. That's gone now. So thank
Okay,
you, Mr.
well, I
Gallagher.
urge a no
Seeing
vote on
and
this
hearing no
terrible
further
bill and
debate,
terrible
clerk will open the
policy.
roll.
Thank you.
All those vote who desire to vote. Mr. Asali, I have told you, you will no longer be recognized tonight. All those vote who desire to vote. The roll is open. Close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 42, no 7. Moving to file item 216, AB 2348 by Mr. Ramos. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2348 by Assemblymember Ramos, and accolade to California
Ramos, you
Emergency
are
Services Act.
recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today for a concurrence of AB 2348. This bill is simple clarifications. I ask for your aye vote. Aye vote.
Mr. Ramos. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 58, noes 0. Moving to file item 219, AB 2561 by Assemblymember Kenner. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2561 by Assemblymember McKenna, and accolade in public employment.
Assemblymember McKenna, you are recognized.
Yes, I am asking you, Mr. Speaker, AB 2561, please, I'm urging an aye vote. Thank you.
Assemblymember McKenna. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do oppose this bill, and I ask that we vote no. Again, when this bill left the Assembly, it would have required public agencies to create plans to fill vacancies in 6 months. It now requires they provide an annual public presentation on vacancies. This bill is completely changed since it's left this House. I think we do need to have discussion and debate on these bills, not just pass them when there's been significant changes
Thank
and
you,
rush
Mr.
them through the
Gallagher. Your time
legislative
is up.
process.
Seeing
I
and
urge a
hearing
no
further
vote.
debate- Ms. Barakahan.
Make a motion to move the previous question on AB 2561.
So motion is made for the previous question, seconded by Mr. Berman, Gabriel, Bonta, Ward. Takes a majority of those present and voting to move the previous question. Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 43, noes 10. Previous question carries. The author may close. She asked for an aye vote. Clerk, all debate having ceased, clerk will close the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 51, noes 5, measure passes. Moving to file item number 220, AB 2629 by Mr. Haney. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2629 by Assemblymember Haney, and accolade in firearms.
Back on concurrence, respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized. Your time is running out, Mr. Gallagher. You were recognized 15 seconds ago. You have 15 seconds.
I need my phone. I need my microphone on. So I actually agree with this bill. I urge an aye vote for the bill.
Thank you.
And it removed the
Your time
applicability of the
is
bill
up.
to individuals found
Seeing and
incompetent.
hearing-
Excuse me, Mr. Speaker, you do have to give me 30 seconds, as you were the one that made the rule that said we each have 30 seconds, and I would like my 30 seconds. Thank you.
Ms. Aguilar-Curry moves the previous question.
That's point of order.
Mr. Gabriel seconds.
Point of
Uh,
order.
Ms. McKinnon, Ms. Addis, Mr. Zuber.
Point of order.
It takes a majority of those present voting to move the previous question. Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 52, noes 1. Previous question carries. The author may close. Mr. Haney, please close. Mr. Caney, please close.
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 54, noes 1. Measure Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to item 221, AB 2716 by Mr. Bryan. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2716 by Assemblymember Bryan and others, enacting oil and gas.
Mr. Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a district bill. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 46, noes 10. Measure Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 224, AB 2795. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2795 by Assemblymember Rambula and others, enacting the public social services.
Dr. Rambula, recognized.
2795 is back on concurrence. Native American Caucus priority, bipartisan support. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Rambula. Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, this is a good bill, but I got confused again because we skipped a couple more bills. But I'm looking forward to voting yes on this bill titled the CalWork Indian Health Clinic Program. And we've skipped like a half dozen bills. So, okay, so we're going to stop doing that now?
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 67, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are moving now to file item 212, AB 2107 by Assemblymember Chen. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2107 by Assemblymember Chen, enacting the healing arts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, for allowing me to present AB 2117. The use of digital data, results, and images are becoming more common in the field of pathology. Without this authorization, pathologists will be limited in viewing digital data, results, and images inside physical licensed laboratories. AB 2107 will bring California one step closer to allowing pathologists to review digital data. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 65, 67, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're moving to file item 225, AB 2803 by Assemblymember Valencia. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2803 by Assemblymember Valencia and others, enacting the Political Reform Act of 1974.
Mr. Valencia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 2803 is back on concurrence. I respectfully ask for a yes vote.
Mr. Valencia, seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 65, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 226 by Assemblymember Bonta, AB 2851. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2851 by Assemblymember Bonta, enacting air pollution.
Member Bonta, you are recognized.
AB 2851 is back on concurrence. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 52, noes 9. Measure Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 229, AB 3138 by Assemblymember Wilson. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3138 by Assemblymember Wilson, enacting the vehicles.
Assemblymember Wilson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 3138 is back on concurrence. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 59, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 230, AB 3233 by Assemblymember Addis. Clerk.
Assembly Bill 3233 by Assemblymember Addis and others, enacting oil and gas.
Assemblymember Addis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 3233 is back on concurrence, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Addis. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes. No, we're not there yet. We're not, don't close. Don't close. No, not close. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 43, noes 14. Measure Senate amendments are concurred in. We're now moving to file item 217, AB 2640 by Mr. Ta. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2460 by Assemblymember Ta, enacted in the Common Interest Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2460 is back with technical Senate amendment. I respectfully ask for your aye.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 57, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 231, AB 3261 by Assemblymember Mike Fong. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3261 by Assemblymember Mike Fong and others, enacted in horse racing.
Mr. Fong, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and members. Assembly Bill 3261 is back on concurrence. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 70, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 218 by Assemblymember Jim Patterson, AB 2471. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2471 by Assemblymember Jim Patterson and others, enacted in the professions and vocations.
Assemblymember Patterson, you are
Thank you,
recognized.
Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 2471 back on concurrence. Senate amendments were clarifying technical in nature, included double joining language. I'm asking for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 66, noes 0. Moving to file item 232, AB 3264 by Assemblymember Petrie Norris. Clerk will read. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3264 by Assemblymember Peachy Norris and others, enacted in energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 3264 is back on concurrence. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Petrie Norris. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 63, 65, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 233, AB 3129 by Assemblymember Wood. Ms. Reyes is going to present.
Assembly Bill 3129 by Assemblymember Wood and others, enacted in health facilities.
Seeing and hearing no further debate. Ms. Reyes, you're recognized. You're recognized, Ms. Reyes. You're recognized, Ms. Reyes.
AB 3129 is back on concurrence. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Gallagher, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I do rise to oppose this bill. I do have concerns about how this could affect our hospitals and attempts to restrict hedge funds' involvement within healthcare using a very subjective rationale. We are concerned about that. As you know, many of our hospitals are in a very tough position right now. I would urge a no vote on this bill. Please consider this carefully with many of the things we're dealing with our hospitals at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 45, noes 11. Senate amendments are concurred in. Ms. Aguilar-Curry, you are recognized for your procedural motion.
I request unanimous consent to take up AB 1836 Barakayan today without reference to file.
Without objection. Mr. Flora, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We reject this. Ask for a roll call vote.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Aguilar-Curry moves. Mr. Gibson seconds. Mr. Flora is objecting. This is a procedural vote. Clerk will open the roll. Ms. Aguilar-Curry asking for an aye vote. Mr. Flora asking for a no vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 52, noes 15. The rules are suspended. We'll now move to take up AB 1836 by Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1836 by Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan, enacted in intellectual property.
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
I'm trying to.
You sacrificed that right earlier tonight. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized. Your time is ticking. You are out of order. Mr. Gallagher, your time is ticking away. You are now down to 15 seconds, Mr. Gallagher. Do you have testimony, Mr. Gallagher?
Mr. Speaker, I do.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 50, noes 8. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 234, AB 1961 by Assemblymember Wicks. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1961 by Assemblymember Wicks and others, enacting the Food Access.
Assemblymember Wicks, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1961 is back on concurrence. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 67, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 235, AB 2842 by Assemblymember Pappen. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2842 by Assemblymember Pappen and others, enacting the firearms.
Assemblymember Pappen, you are recognized.
Back on concurrence, respect and I vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Pappen. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Yes. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 69, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 222, AB 2729 by Assemblymember Joe Patterson. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2729 by Assemblymember Joe Patterson and others, enacting land use.
Mr. Patterson, you are recognized.
Thank you for calling on me. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're moving back in file to file item 204, AB 1205 by Assemblymember Barrow Cahan. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1205 by Assemblymember Barrow Cahan and others, enacting public post-secondary education.
Assemblymember Barrow Cahan, you are recognized.
Respectfully ask for aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 63, noes 3. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 223, AB 2745 by Mr. Mathis. Clerk will read. File item 223, AB 2745, Mr. Mathis.
Assembly Bill 2745 by Assemblymember Mathis and others, enacting the pass.
Thank you, members. Thank you, everybody, for the tenure here. Crazy way to end the session, but let's not be pests. Let's get this bill passed. This helps clean up bad properties. I ask you for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 52, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're moving to file item 228, AB 3134 by Mr. Chen. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3134 by Assemblymember Chen, enacting property taxation.
Assemblymember Chen, you are recognized.
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 65, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 236, AB 2041 by Assemblymember Bonta. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2041 by Assemblymember Bonta and others, enacting the Political Reform Act of 1974, declaring the urgency thereof, to take effect immediately.
Respectfully request an aye vote. You're there?
All those vote who desire, would you like, all those vote who desire to vote? Wait, sorry, just hang on, just give me a second here. That has an urgency clause. We can take that up in a minute. We're going to go back to lift the call on item 131. Clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 48, noes 8. Senate amendments are concurred in. What's that, sir? We're going to lift.
236, 227, good to go.
Moving to file item 227, AB 3024 by Assemblymember Ward. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3024 by Assemblymember Ward and others, enacting civil law and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Member Ward, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 3024 is back for concurrence. Amendments taken in the Senate strengthening First Amendment protections. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on concurrence.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Seeing and hearing no further. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do rise in opposition to this bill. I'm concerned about how this is defining intimidation by threat of violence. I do believe we should take more time to understand how these bills are affecting the overall populace. I do urge your no vote on this bill. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. This is a 54 vote bill. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 55, noes 2. Measure passes. Moving to file item 83, we're going to lift the call. No, we're not doing that. We're done.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
We're done. We're done. We did them. We did 236 and 227. We did them. Mr. Flora?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. According to my clock, it is 12 o'clock.
That is correct.
And I think per the Constitution, anything that has not been taken up at this moment
Ms. Aguilar-Curry, you are recognized.
Can take hers up. It has urgency.
There is a letter of legislative intent at the desk relative to AB 98, Juan Carrillo. I move to print the letters in the journal pursuant to Assembly Rule 42C.
This is a letter, not a bill. It's an intent to print a letter. Do you have an objection, Mr. Flora? This is not a bill.
I understand. We still object to the letter and ask for a roll call vote.
Mr. Flora objects to the letters being printed in the journal. Ms. Aguilar-Curry is asking for an aye vote. Mr. Gibson seconds. The clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 49, noes 12. The letter will be printed. Assemblymember, we are going to move to file item 236 by Assemblymember Bonta. This is an urgency bill, so it does not, the time limit does not work here, or it doesn't matter. We can do this after 12 o'clock. It is 12:02. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2041 by Assemblymember Bonta and others, enact relating to the Political Reform Act of 1974 and declare the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Assemblymember Bonta, you are recognized.
AB 2041 is back on concurrence. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bonta. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tallying the vote size 64, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we are not ready to adjourn, but I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to Sue and this amazing team that's working up front here. There are 15 people that work up here doing a variety of things, many of which I will never understand. I've got some notes coming, but there are 28 people altogether that work in the clerk's office, some of which you don't see at all. And I have some comments I'd like to make. Once I'm gonna hold those comments actually. Madam Majority Leader, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to hold AB 852, Joan Sawyer at the desk.
Without objection, such shall be the order. You will continue to be recognized.
I just wanted to thank all of you for, it's been a tough couple of days, but you did really well. And it's going to be an honor to work with many of you. To those of you that are leaving us, it's sad. We've had these wonderful friendships for all these years. So all of you have a good life, enjoy retirement or what your next step is. Thank you, everybody.
Should note that we are still in session. We are still in session. So members, could I get your attention, please? We do have an adjournment in memory. So I would ask that you give your respectful attention to Assemblymember Dixon, who was granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Quorum call is in place. We are still in session. Assemblymember Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I
You're
appreciate that at this late hour. And members, I rise today in the memory of the Honorable Stephen Bromberg, a local leader and close friend, a truly dedicated public servant. Steve leaves behind a legacy of a well-lived life marked by a deep commitment to service, honor, and community. Born in New York City in 1943, Steve moved to California as a young child, where he settled with his family in Los Angeles. A graduate of Los Angeles High School and Cal State Los Angeles, Steve enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps and served his country with distinction. He was honorably discharged in 1969, after which he turned his pursuits towards a career in law. For 35 years, Steve practiced civil litigation, initially specializing in insurance defense, and later moved into employment litigation with his law firm Bromberg and Yeager. Steve and his wife Ronnie relocated to Newport Beach, Balboa Island in 1988, where he immersed himself into the local community. In 1994, he was diagnosed with a rare form of small cell bladder cancer and was given 6 months to live. He did not accept his fate and beat the cancer both in 1994 and a second recurrence in 1999. His desire in 2000 was to serve the broader Newport Beach community when he was elected to the Newport Beach City Council, and in 2003 was elected mayor. Amongst his proudest accomplishments during his first term was chairing the Newport Beach One Foundation, whereby the city of Newport Beach adopted the 1st Battalion, 1st Marines based at Camp Pendleton, which continues to this day. He was again selected as mayor of Newport Beach in 2005. But that year, Governor Schwarzenegger offered him a judicial appointment on the Orange County Superior Court, and he became Judge Steve Bromberg. As a judge, he had a sterling reputation with court staff, the district attorney's office, and public defenders and defendants alike, and was viewed as a well-prepared, fair, and respectable judge. His admiration for the rule of law and the court system drove him to excellence each day, and he truly loved his job. Steve passed on August 13th, 2024, in his home with his beloved wife of 58 years, Ronnie. He will be dearly missed by all who knew him. Please join me to adjourn in memory of Judge Stephen Bromberg. And thank you, Speaker. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Dixon. Members, we are getting close to the end here, but I'd like to say a few words. It's been an honor to serve as your Speaker Pro Tem this year, and I want to thank Speaker Rivas for giving me this unique opportunity. I'm very, very grateful. Tonight was a very interesting evening, I will add. I'd like to thank our leadership team, Cecilia Aguiar-Curry, our Majority Leader, Miguel Santiago, our Assistant Majority Leader, Stephanie Nguyen, our Assistant Pro Tempore, Majority Whip Matt Haney, Assistant Majority Whips Eloise Gomez-Reyes and Josh Lowenthal, and our Democratic Caucus Chair, Rick Zabur. My team, who support me in this role, Sage Miller, and my Chief of Staff, Kathy Mudge, thank you so much. All the people you see up here around me, the sergeants who are everywhere, we need them to be inside the chamber, outside the galleries, at our gates, anywhere else we need them. Please, a round of applause for our sergeants. Sue Parker and the Assembly desk staff, thank you so much. There are 15 that you see here, but she has a staff of 28 total. So there's other people working behind the scenes that you don't see every day. My sidekick here, Cheryl Kraft, looking out for me and prompting me on what's next. What's always changing. Right? To our CHP officers who assist us throughout the building, thank you. There was no way I could pull this off without all of these amazing people. And last, but absolutely not least, our floor unit, Mission Control, the Wizards of Oz behind the curtain, pulling all those levers to keep things running smoothly. Ryan Ebert, Renee Estoista, Julio Mendez Vargas, Marcus Castrojón, you are all absolutely amazing. And Brian, you will be so very missed, but you have been the best role model that those folks could ever ask for. As we have heard former Speaker Pro Tems say before, and it is so true, they are the best in the business, probably the best in the country. Thank you everything you do to make us all look good. I would like to, at this time, recognize Assembly Republican Leader James Gallagher.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And after a long and passionate legislative session, I want to thank all of my colleagues. You know, I know there's been a lot of long nights, a little, strong debates in many committees and also on this floor, but that's what we're supposed to do. That's the beauty of this legislature, is that each and every one of us represent a part of California, and we bring that vision and that voice from our districts. It's not always pretty, not always, maybe things don't always go so smoothly, but that is, I think, a beautiful part of democracy. And so tonight, as we go forward, and many people that are leaving, it's great, like all the tributes, to some amazing members who I've had the honor to serve with. You are certainly going to be missed, each and every one of you. You've brought an important voice to this legislature, so I want to salute each and every one of you. Even though maybe sometimes we haven't always agreed on things, but I know that many of you come from a place of you truly believe in what you're fighting for, and that is important. That's an important part of what we do here. I do want to thank on our Republican side, our amazing floor team, who's been awesome throughout this time. Led by, Suzanne Sutton there in the back, but I mean, a great team all around who keeps us informed and up to date on the issues, even like with these last supplemental files that we end up getting, at the very end, and, but always keeping us up to date on what these pieces of legislation do. I want to thank our Republican caucus. I know it's, we've had a lot of challenges over this year. Members that have gone through different challenges, but we've stuck together. I'm very proud of what we've been able to do. I think we have brought a very much needed opposition voice here, but I think in a proactive and productive way, and that has helped make legislation better. That also, is our job. So we always have enough time for debate. That's okay. Debate is a good thing. Transparency is a good thing. Committee hearings that maybe last longer than anybody maybe would like are a good thing. The public coming in and having lots of input is a good thing. The governor not getting his way is a good thing. Honestly, like this is the people's house. I want to say this to all of you. I love and respect each and every one of you. I really do. You know, even my good friend from San Mateo, who I appreciate, and we've had some passionate debates over many different things, but I respect him. Again, that is part of what this body is all about. And I hope that you've seen from me that I fight vigorously, not only for my members, but for this body, because this body is important. And I believe very strongly in the people's house and the ability for us that we should really be directing the conversations, and not some other branch of government. So thank you for all the times we've worked together. I think we've done a lot of good, and wish you all the best as we adjourn and go into our respective districts to do even more work of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. And now, Mr. Speaker, you are recognized.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Appreciate your service. Certainly will miss you next year. And as I look across these chambers this evening, I am struck once again by the diversity in this room. This legislature is more reflective of California and of Californians than ever before in the history of this state. In this big and vibrant state we get to call home, we represent many different kinds of people, many kinds of priorities, and many different kinds of urgent needs all across this state. But every legislator here, each and every one of us, we share the same fierce love for California and a desire to both protect it and improve it. And so I want to start by thanking each and every one of you. Thank you for your time, for your perspective, and for your commitment to the work we do. And for some of you, I know that this moment right here, this evening, ends an important chapter in your lives. And whatever your next steps are, you are forever a part of this institution's long history. And I hope you take a moment and reflect not just on your legislative achievements and accomplishments, but the people that you've helped. From a colleague who needed support in a difficult moment, to a constituent who reached out to your office, or maybe a young person inspired by your service. We do big things here in California. And so when you walk out of these chambers here tonight, I hope you'll reflect on what I'm sure are many memories, like the chaos that occurred tonight, that you all helped create. But I often think that what will actually be remembered for is the impact we had on those around us. And so to the legislators, to our colleagues leaving this body tonight, thank you. You all will be missed. And so speaking of big things, I do want to reflect very briefly on our collective accomplishments over this past year. Because of our collective work, we delivered a budget under significant pressure that protected our students and kept funding for critical social services. We are giving Californians an opportunity this November to invest in rebuilding and modernizing our schools, and to consider a climate bond that will keep California at the vanguard of climate action. We passed historic retail theft bills, finally standing up for local businesses and every Californian who's tired of these smash and grabs, tired of seeing employees targeted and attacked. California continues to lead the way. The rest of the country continues to look to us to protect the environment, to elevate underserved communities, and to drive innovation. And these achievements and the work that we all do reflect the sacrifices and unwavering commitment of a much larger community here. And first, thank you to our staff. Thank you to our committee experts, to our chiefs of staff, to our legislative aides, our legislative directors, schedulers, our entire teams here in Sacramento and all across California in our districts. To our sergeants, CHP, public safety partners, thank you for doing all you can to keep us safe here at the Capitol. And finally, thank you to our families, to our partners. Their sacrifice is endless, and we are all here because of support and the love that we get from them at home. Please stand, join me in acknowledging our incredible partners, our community, with a huge round of applause one more time. And again, it is an honor to have served with you all. It's been an honor to serve as your speaker. We have much to be proud of, not only this year, but in previous years. And we have important work to do when we return. As always, I'm optimistic and excited to continue our work for the people of California. Thank you very, very much.
The session schedule is as follows. Final recess. Majority Leader Agui-Curry, you are recognized for your motion.
Mr. Speaker and colleagues, pursuant to Joint Rule 51, I move that the Assembly adjourn for the final recess of the 23-24 regular session until the adjournment sine die on November 30th, 2024.
Majority Leader Agui-Curry moves, and Mr. Wallace seconds that this House stands adjourned for final recess to adjourn sine die pursuant to the Constitution on November 30th, 2024. Motion carries, and the Assembly is adjourned. And we can entertain vote changes.
Hi, this is Assemblymember Dixon. I'm changing AB 2041 from no to aye.
Vote change, Assemblymember Dixon, Assembly Bill 2041, no to aye.
Supplementary Chen, AB 1208, from no to aye. 1208.
Vote change, Assemblymember Chen, Assembly Bill 1208.
If you ain't up on political game, respectfully, sir, we ain't the same. We built this country, it wasn't in vain. Red, white, and blue is our claim to fame. I don't really care what you have to say. Facts over fiction is the motto replay. Muhammad Ali came up from the clay. Grassroots built up this USA. Now knowing your history, you'll get played. Equip yourself cause we came to slay any opponent that's up in our way. Look at Malcolm X and his delivery. Any debate, he would make them pay. One round, eat them up like souffle. Boots on the ground from the past and today. Tradition must carry on every single day. Cut the check. Cut the check. You got no money, but you got it for Ukraine. Black August, 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 Black August. On this month, we have the rise of the Phoenix, George Jackson. From the day that we landed from Arthur Ashe, when the Wimbledon game birthed the Henrietta Lacks. Second, J Baldwin born with the fire next time. 1964 Jersey race struggle is sublime. Speech of Frederick Douglass, no struggle is no progress. Florida gets rid of slavery, it was grotesque. Emancipation Day for the Black Creek Nation. Louis Armstrong born the great trumpet sensation. Andrew Johnson denied the freedmen. Confiscation Act tried to patch the bleeding. Cali House and the ex-slave pension. North Pole Trailblazer Matthew Hickson. Whitney Houston turned the Star Spangled out. Isaac Hayes with the stars, no doubt. Watts rebelled, Black Chicago caught hell with the infamous riot tales. As we say, we go black, 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 black. Here we go, black, 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 black. Come on, say black, 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 black. Here we go, y'all, black. Surgeon General Minnie Lee Jones, Ernest just fertility, chromosome, Julian Bond, activist, politician, Dorothy West were words with precision, Marcus Garvey, United, Rayford Johnson, all around athlete, lunch counter sit-ins, Oklahoma City, Jamestown, home of the first slaves pixie, Melvin Van Peebles, sweet bag, Huey P. Newton, keeping it black, Houston Revolution, Bayard Rustin, Althea Gibson, Mr. Johnson got NASA buzzing, MLK, the great last speech, Marshall Washington with the protest speech, Wendell Scott, Colonel Blueford, Kenny Washington, NFL word. When we talking about to turn it out. When we talking about 1, 2, 1, 2, talk about black, 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 black. Here we go, y'all. Black, 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 black. Here we go. Black, 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 black. Here we go, y'all. Black, 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 black. This is for the people. This is for the ones who's trying to stop the evil. Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Leading with lineage.
California Reparations Task Force hearings.
Final report recommendations.
California Freedmen Affairs Agency, CAFA office.
The Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice.
Free the land, eminent domain, unjust property taking return.
And in the mass media group was there. Reparations Now, the documentary where it all began.
Released Juneteenth, 2023.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR rules, don't tune in.
Available to watch on Tubi TV and other streaming outlets. As always, thank you for the support. Please like, share, and subscribe to your #1 source for reparations and news. Until next time, peace and reparations. Leading with Lineage.